Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. So GBD may join us a little bit later, but right now it's just going to be me and Jeff Grimm, and we've got a few other people going to come in and talk for a little while. I'm bored today. I don't know about everybody else out there, but I was just bored out of my mind. And talking to Jeff, we were talking on the scores. He's bored out of his mind, and so we decided to come on, go live, chat with you guys, have some fun, hang out for a little while. Jeff, how you doing today, man?
Doing good. Kind of bored, like you said. Ain't nothing going on. Can't wait for next Saturday to really get some football games going.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. So me and you were talking there earlier. We were talking about the Pitt, um, the backyard brawl, and talking about Pitt and West Virginia through the years. And we were talking about how West Virginia every so many years they have really good teams. Like '88, we went 1988, we went undefeated, played for Natty. 5 years later, '93. Uh, Undefeated. Should have played for Natty. 5 years later, '97, '98. Those years were really good. 5 years later, showed us bringing Rich Rodriguez, and from 2005 to 2009, really we were pretty dominant. And then 2012, beating Clemson like we did in the Orange Bowl. 2016, 10-2 team. 2018, 9-3 team. We were talking about Pitt. Pitt really hasn't done that too much, especially since they joined the ACC. They've not been real good at all. But last couple of years coming on strong. So this should be for a really interesting game. What are you thinking?
I think it'll be close in the first half, but I think West Virginia will pull away. I really do.
Yeah, they
I
lost a
think,
lot of production on offense.
yeah, Pitt lost some players, and it's not the same team they had last year.
Right. I realize they've got their offensive lines back, their defensive lines back. They lost some defensive backs off of a backfield that was pretty bad. They didn't have very good defensive backs anyway. And then, but they lost their quarterback and lost the best wide receiver in the nation to USC. That's a lot of production. I think there was, I don't remember how many touchdowns. I'm not even going to guess how many touchdowns there was between them two. But they do bring in Keaton Slovis from USC as quarterback. But will he be able to find the receivers to throw that ball to? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, see, they're breaking in some receivers, so it's anybody's guess how they're going to do. And like you said, the line will be okay, but if you're a first year quarterback, starting in a new program, that first game is always iffy to me, and I don't care who the program is.
Yeah, so I sit here today because I was bored, and everybody's been talking about Pitt's defense, and I looked up some statistics because I've been hearing a lot about Pitt's defense will shut West Virginia down because they're just really good. I think we all agree that the best offenses in the country are in the Big 12. When you're looking at offenses like Oklahoma, West Virginia, Texas, Oklahoma State, all of them are really at the top every year, the top 20 generally. Um, and most of them are in the top five in offense. So I was looking at that and thinking, okay, West Virginia plays the best offenses in the country, hands down. Clemson plays pretty good offenses Pittsburgh plays pretty good offenses in the ACC, like Clemson. But other than Clemson, there's not a lot of huge offensive dominance in the ACC. They play good, solid football. They don't skew more towards offense versus defense. I don't think. But in 2020, Pitt was ranked 37th in the nation in total defense. And that's pretty good. That's not bad at all. They were 37th. They give up 246 passing yards a game, and they give up on rushing. They give up. Let me find it here. 93.5 yards per game, but they give up 4.8 touchdowns a game. So that's
Wow.
that's what hurt them, giving up 4.8 touchdowns again. That was in 2020. West Virginia, Pitt was 37. West Virginia was 22 in the nation. Give up 159 passing yards a game, give up 131 rushing yards a game, and only give up 2.3 touchdowns a game. So half of what they were giving up. So that's and that's against top offenses. That's against offenses like Oklahoma and Texas and Oklahoma State, Baylor. So I think that's pretty good. I think it's a pretty good stat. That was 2020. If we go over to 2021 and look at those defenses, West Virginia was 45th in 2021, and Pitt was 42nd. And the stats are pretty close. Pitt gave up 264 passing yards a game. West Virginia only gave up 211. But the rushing, Pitt gave up 88, and West Virginia gave up 139. The touchdowns, West Virginia gave up 2.5 touchdowns a game, and Pitt gave up 3 touchdowns a game. So West Virginia still did pretty good on beat them as far as touchdowns. So they were 42nd and 45th. That was in 2021. So I don't see where they think that Pitt's got this dominating defense that's just going to, push West Virginia back. And I read this morning that Pat Narduzzi said that their backups on the offensive line, that he's thinking about starting some of them because they're better than what he's got on his offensive line now. And these are young freshmen that he's talking about starting. So if their offensive line is not very good, how do they think they're going to stop Dante Stills from coming in the backfield and sacking Keaton Slovis 10 times? I mean, they're going to have to double team Dante Stills, and that's going to free up somebody else. So,
right. And then you bring in a true freshman lineman. That's always dangerous. I don't care how good of a lineman you are. Your first game, you're going to be a little nervous. You haven't played with the guys around you.
Yeah. So somebody's asking me in the chat where I'm getting my stats from. Let me bring this up and just share the screen so that they can see these stats. Let me find it here. All right, so there's the stats. Right. Oops. There it is. So this is the stats. This is 2021. You can see Pitt 42, West Virginia 45. And up here it says 2021 defense. I don't know if you can see where it says defense up here. It's just in the black at the top of the page. So there's no way for me to make that bigger. I wish I could. Let's see if I can. There we go. Maybe a little bit bigger now. Can anybody see that? So that's 2021 defensive stats. And there's Pitt and West Virginia. So that's where I'm getting that from. That is sportsreference.com. And if I go to, I will remove that and go back into here and bring up the 2020 defense from sportsreference.com and show you that as well. And there's that's 2021. Sorry, guys. All right, here we go. Let me share this one. Sorry, guys. So I'm looking for 2020, right? There we go. There's 2020. West Virginia 22nd, Pitt was 37th. That's defense. So anyway, Jeff, what are you thinking? Do you have a score prediction for this backyard brawl, Jeff? think I've lost Jeff. There's Tony. Hey, Tony. You're muted, Tony.
Hey. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey. What's going on? I think I lost Jeff. Jeff must have.
Okay, am I back now?
Yeah,
There
you're
he
back
is.
there, Jeff. Good deal.
All right.
So,
The tie guy himself.
Tony, we were talking about the Pitt, West Virginia backyard brawl when talking about everyone saying Pitt's got this awesome
Go Mountaineers.
defense, and I was comparing the numbers and showing that, actually they're pretty similar. West Virginia was ahead of them last year in defense and also in 2020. So
you guys hear me?
yeah, you're froze, but I hear you.
Was that Mike?
Oh,
Was
yeah.
I freezing or was
You're
Joey
back.
freezing?
No,
You're good
I think
now.
It was you.
Was I freezing or was Joey freezing?
You were.
Oh, sorry,
It
guys.
was you.
It was me
All right.
with the crappy internet in South Florida.
Yeah, it's Sunday. Everybody's in West Virginia on Sunday, and so we all got to deal with West Virginia internet. Hey, a little bit later on, guys, I will share this link in the stream, and get a few of you in here. Matter of fact, let me go in here right now, and I'm gonna send it to Eric and Ben. Eric and Ben.
Oh, we got the famous Eric coming.
Yes, Eric and Ben. I sent you the link in Discord. And,
So, Joey, tell me, I
and
haven't seen the video
in
yet.
chat.
Tell me
I haven't seen
How,
the video yet either. I haven't seen it either. So today's video on Jeopardy. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, there's all sorts of discussion around the internet today, which is something that you and I have talked about with Mark on Mark's Voice of College Football channel numerous times, which is how Florida State and Miami fit very well into the Big Ten, but I so far don't see anything even remotely addressing the grant of rights issue.
Right. I don't see anything addressing that either, and I don't see, and we've had Travis Kenobi on here, and he's a prominent attorney right there in Atlanta.
Who knows this stuff?
Attorney, and who knows this stuff, and he's looked over that grant of rights and says he don't see any way out of it. And there's been many attorneys that have said that. So I don't see how anyone could leave the ACC and go.
But there's a guy on Twitter who's real sure that it'll be just fine.
Well, I guess if you think about it, if they go to the Big Ten, let's say they're getting $40 million a year in the ACC, and they can get $100 million a year in the Big Ten. If they go to the Big Ten, then they would still make $60 million a year if they had to pay $40 million to the ACC. So they would still increase by $20 million if you think about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of arguments for it, but I just don't see how anybody gets out of it unless and there's these nonsense morons, and you guys don't listen to these idiots. We're talking about, well, the ACC will just vote to dissolve, or well, ESPN would really like that for the FTC. That is nonsense, guys, because right now ESPN has a wonderful contract on the ACC, and there's no reason for them to want to pay double that content to then broadcast through other people. And ESPN basically owns the SEC and all of their media stuff. So they would be the ones like intentionally being like, you know what? Let's just pay you more. Like that's not going to happen.
Right.
So they're not going to have like,
now,
and by the way, and I haven't seen the ACC bylaws. People keep telling me the number is half. I haven't heard that even from any reliable source.
Now, another thing
guys?
too, no, I have not. And something else that they've been talking about, and you and I talked about this last night a little bit, was that Stanford and Cal to the Big Ten, and Jeff said he read an article on it today. And
I'm seeing more on it. I mean, Joey, we've talked about this on GBD, on Mark Rogers, and on all sorts of places. Like, it 100% makes sense strategically. And it makes sense connection-wise. I mean, just the idea of, literally the property that Silicon Valley is built on being Big Ten property is exactly what like Dr. Johnson from Ohio State would love. I mean, heck, she got all 3 of her degrees from Stanford, was on their field hockey team. But the longer that we've gone without them being invited, like, wouldn't they have done it already? I don't know.
I thought
Yeah,
they
you
were
would
waiting though
think.
for the contract to be signed.
Why would they have done that?
Well,
And by the way, I'm asking that as a question because when I've looked at it, like, it doesn't make sense to me.
what I was being told was they wanted to do the contract. They wanted to lock in how much the Big Ten is worth. And then they'll worry about, okay, what does Cal add? What does Stanford add?
Stanford
what do
add?
the others add? That way they don't have to give them full shares. They could give them what they add.
Partial shares.
Yeah.
Which is what they did for Nebraska, Maryland, and Rutgers.
Right.
I read, though, that Rutgers is already ticked, and Rutgers can go, kiss my butt for this, but the Rutgers is already ticked because USC and UCLA come in immediately as full shares given how much they bring to the table.
But Rutgers still owes money, and so does Maryland.
Yeah.
Maryland don't get a full share yet either because Maryland keeps borrowing money.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's 2 elements there.
They wouldn't get
One-
full share.
One, Rutgers and Maryland are, I think, only now just getting full shares, but they've also borrowed money from the Big Ten, which is being deducted from their payouts.
Right.
So there's two pieces there that hurt them. So the reason they haven't been making as much money is because, one, they weren't getting a full share, and they borrowed from the bank.
Well, and Rutgers was almost as bad as UCLA as far as debt when they came over.
That's what I heard.
Welcome
They were
in, Ben.
in a lot of trouble.
You're muted, Ben.
No, not too much. Just getting psyched up, getting really close to the season.
Getting really close. Hey, there's Golden Blue Dude come in. Hey, what do you say, Golden Blue Dude? Yeah, be sure and hit that like and subscribe button, people. That helps out the video a lot. You're not patting none of us on the back. We're just here hanging out with you guys for a little while. But that thumbs up will bring more people in, get the video suggested. So be sure and do that for us. We appreciate it. So, Ben, what game are you looking forward to between week 0 and week 1?
It's got to be Vandy at Hawaii. Come on now.
Yeah, it's a big game, isn't it?
Those teams most likely, so has to be that. No, of course, backyard brawl. Looking forward to that, of course. That's
Eric's looking sharp tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to
What
go
say,
and
Eric?
serve the people drinks. What's up?
No. Working tonight, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
We were all bored and decided to hang out, and so I called up Golden Blue Dude and said, "Hey, I'm going live on your platform." So we're here. But he's in the chat. He's hanging out in the chat with us.
It's good for the boss to take a day off once in a while.
That's right, Jeff. What game are you looking forward to? Are you looking forward to the Nebraska game over there, and for some reason, and across the country, across the pond?
That's the game I'm actually looking forward to. I want to see what Nebraska is going to be this year. I mean, they were 3-9 last year. They could easily, they could have won so many of those, one-score games that I think that if Nebraska loses, I don't know if the coach, Scott Frost, stays there all year.
Yeah, he may not get a plane ticket ride home.
Yeah.
You get fired mid-season.
Worse than Lane Kiffin.
If they don't really turn it around, I mean, you can blame Martinez all you want. I mean, his stats were terrible, but if Scott Frost doesn't turn it around this year, he's going to be gone.
There would be another tarmac firing. Wouldn't you think, Tony? I bet you there'd be another tarmac firing.
Where did Martinez go?
Kansas State.
Okay. I get him confused with Penix from Indiana or Illinois.
But Kansas State Twitter just can't stop telling me about how Adrian Martinez is the second coming of Christ.
Dude, you and the Big 12 are like oil and water, huh?
But Martinez has played what now? 12 years?
I think so. Maybe 14.
He's going to retire from college the same year Brady retires from the NFL.
I mean, Adrian Martinez might be a tenure track faculty by now.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to play until he can collect Social Security, and then that's really the dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Just think, though, he
Let's go
started
back
too
to-
young, though. The NIL wasn't there, or he could have been loaded.
Let's go back and talk about something again one more time, because I want to get everybody's perspective on this. We were talking about how all the papers, well, not all the papers, but some of the papers are saying, and it's all over social media, that the Big Ten may announce this week that Stanford and Cal are coming to the Big Ten. Before Washington and Oregon, what did y'all think about that? Do you actually think that's going to happen? I know Tony can't see it happening. I don't really see it happen. Jeff, what about you?
I think the only way they bring Stanford in is if Notre Dame has already told them, "Hey, we'll come in, but we want Stanford." I would think that Washington would be the team to get the invite first, but that's just me.
I agree. Eric, you're an Oregon fan. How do you feel about it? What are you thinking?
Well, I think you have to consider that they're going to take them in even numbers. I would imagine.
Why?
So
They don't really have to. They're doing away with divisions.
are there any conferences that have odd numbers of teams?
No, but
I
I'm
guess
just
they
saying
don't
they wouldn't
have to.
have
Maybe you're
to
right,
take
but
them.
I would think they would do it in pairs, much like USC, UCLA, if we're using that as an example, which is really the only example, or Texas and Oklahoma, which is the other example we have. So what I would think is Utah, or not Utah, I'm sorry, UW, Oregon would come as a pair before Stanford and Cal. There are academic considerations to be made, but I think these are largely football moves, and UW, Oregon are the only ones from the Pac-12 that make sense to take.
And UW and Washington are both AAU members. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah,
really
that
get
really-
more. You can't really
Okay.
get more credentialed than that.
Well,
Sure. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things to consider, and I'm by no means an expert, but that's what I've gleaned after, however, 2 months of nonstop realignment talk and learning about media rights and the grants and all that stuff. So that's what I would imagine. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if Stanford and Cal. It wouldn't surprise me a ton. But it would be a little.
I can't hardly hear you, Eric. You're having some mic trouble there or something.
Yeah,
Ben, what do you think about the news? Ben, what are your thoughts on the news or on what people are saying?
I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, I get it, like the academic and wrap up the Bay Area kind of, market. But if you're looking at like in the sense of also sports, like you say, Oregon, Washington probably be a lot better grab. Plus AAU members. At this point in time, who knows? Everything is just changing so rapidly. I mean, would it be a shock at this point?
Yeah. But every Pac-12 team's an AAU
I think
member. Am I right?
I think Ben's right. Nothing's a shock at this point.
Yeah.
No.
But would you be shocked if all these stories were false? Because Golden Blue Dude said it himself, that he could predict everything in the world and it still not happen. They go a completely different route and do something that he didn't expect. Could it be possible that somebody sent this out there as a ruse and maybe they're going after somebody in the ACC? And Not even going to grab.
Or maybe
the
they're not
Pac-12
actually
team?
going up, or maybe they're not going after anybody at all at the moment.
Right, exactly.
Just trying to ruffle some feathers or something like that, you know? I mean, who knows?
I confirmed, like they announced a bigger budget, like to presumably expand to 20. I thought that was
Yeah. Right.
I
I'm
don't
some
know.
trouble with your mic today.
I know I am.
But you got to think about it like this too, though. Everybody's making a big deal. The Big Ten just signed their contract, and it's got an escalator clause in it. But guess what? Those have been in the clauses since 2010. I mean, this isn't the first time that it's out there, but everybody's making a big deal like it is the first time, and that guarantees that they're going to go to 20, you know?
I agree with that.
Also-
I think every time this happens, you always get speculations and everyone panics. And right now, everything's changing so fast. It's kind of like, okay, well, let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see. I mean,
Also, they don't even have these people don't even have copies of any contracts. Is the thing. These Twitter yappers don't have copies of any of these. Some guy last night was being an absolute doofus and like shrieking at me on Twitter about like, well, the Big Ten conference is clearly adjudicated in Illinois. I was like, you don't have any copies of any of that stuff.
Right.
Like he has no idea. Literally pulling it out of his ass. And so, I mean, the thing is on this kind of stuff, unless people are actually looking at contracts and they're really familiar with contracting, then like not a lot of it is kind of bogus.
Well, and think about it like this too. Oklahoma and Texas 1 year ago announced they were coming to the SEC. Now that did put a little bit of panic into the Big Ten. It made USC decide that, hey, this is no joke. We're going to start really losing money. And I think USC wanted to bolt right away. And it took them a year. You know, they discussed for 6 months, they said, but it took them a year to make the decision. I don't see the Big Ten, unless they've been in contact with, you know, Stanford and that and already have it in line. It's going to take a little bit of time for the contracts and, you know, everything to get done. This isn't something that, okay, well, the Big Ten took Cal today, so the SEC is going to take Florida State tomorrow. And, you know, it's not going to move that quick.
Yeah, they're not Legos either. People act like these things are Legos that you can take apart and put together. And, like, they're not. I mean, right now, the other thing is right now, UCLA is not 100% into the Big Ten anyway. It's probably about 85%. I mean, it's going to happen. It's probably 85, maybe 90%, but it's not 100%. And I don't think they're going to do anything until that number is 100%.
Right.
and I do see why
Andre
there could be
King,
those
thank you for the
stories.
$5 donation. Thank you, Andre
see
King,
why
for the $5 donation. Appreciate it, buddy.
I see why there's
Go
those
ahead, Dan,
stories
I'm
too,
sorry.
because one of the stipulations with UCLA was, you know, for California was that they take the other Cal schools, like Cal and Stanford and stuff. So that's, I think, where some of this story maybe is just kind of coming from. Is like, hey, they're just going to wrap up California, 100%, no problems, we're done. But it's.
I would also ask, how many of these conference realignment moves have been leaked, particularly involving like the Big Ten or the SEC? How many of these conference realignment moves have been leaked in advance?
Yeah.
Before they were done?
Texas A&M kind of got a little hint, and they brought it out a little early, but that was 6 months after it happened. You know?
Already done. But I mean, already done. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that deal was not announced, but it was already done.
Yeah.
Everything else was literally,
Right.
hey, it's done, we're on our way. It's like, holy crap.
So a lot of this stuff that you're hearing, I think, guys, is I don't want to call it nonsense, because there's always conversations back and forth. There are people claiming,
always
I don't know if it's
out there.
true or not. Yeah, exactly. I mean, West Virginia has talked to all these conferences for 30 years. There's people that are saying, and I don't know, I mean, if we assume it's true, there's people saying that the SEC or that Florida State and the Big Ten have been in conversation since the 90s. Like, so these things happen all the time. People are always going back and forth talking about possibilities and relationship building. One of the great things, I don't know if you guys have read it or not. I can even put a link in the chat if you guys want. There's a phenomenal article published by 247 Sports a few years ago, about Utah's multi-year process in lobbying the Pac-12, and then all the behind-the-scenes stuff they did with Colorado on that deal. And it gives kind of, I think, a really good perspective on how these things actually go down, because it's not what people think it is.
Well, because people only see the end. We only see that, Texas and Oklahoma have decided today to go to the SEC. They don't see that, behind the scenes that they had to work so long. And I mean, everybody should know right now that, some people are surprised. Well, Florida State talked to the Big Ten. Trust me, North Carolina has. All of the major schools have talked to both the SEC and the Big Ten. All the major schools want one of those two conferences. So there's conversations going on. All the major schools have talked to both the SEC.
And Joey, I just put in the Joey, I just put in the chat a link. I don't know if you can authorize it or not. I think people would really like that article. If you haven't read the article, it's great.
Put it in private chat, and then I'll copy it and put it in there in the regular chat.
I just put it in private chat.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an article that I think if you guys are interested in conference realignment, this is one of the best articles on conference realignment I've seen.
There it is.
I mean, at this point,
let's talk about a little bit of news here. So, Texas A&M's Jimbo Fisher, according to Yardbarker, has come out. I've not seen this, but according to Yardbarker, has come out and said that he's done talking about Nick Saban and it's time to shut up and play. So, they've been throwing jabs at each other. Really, it started not this year, last year, if you remember, because Jimbo Fisher said, we're going to kick Nick Saban's ass. Does everybody remember that? And then they did it.
And they did.
So,
they did.
That's probably Jimbo Fisher's biggest win, other than his national championship that he had. But so, they're still talking back and forth every once in a while. And so now it's time to shut up and play. What do you think? Can Jimbo Fisher beat Nick Saban for 2 years in a row, or do you think Alabama's just going to annihilate him?
It's not going to be pretty this year.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll annihilate him, but I don't think Alabama loses that game in Tuscaloosa with revenge on their minds.
That was the first time Nick Saban had lost to one of his assistants also, right? His former assistants.
Right.
That was the first time. So even Saban's, that's not happening again. It happened twice last year with Kirby Smart and Jimbo. It's like, that's not happening again.
I mean, and let's remember, too, that Alabama has the defending Heisman Trophy winner as their quarterback. And do we even know who the Texas A&M quarterback is?
No, they haven't announced yet.
So, I mean, that's not a good – I mean, anybody can beat anybody, right? But
Alabama losing in the national championship, they're pissed off, And with what was going on between Jimbo and Saban, they're mad. And I don't know this answer, but who's the last coach to beat Saban back-to-back years or back-to-back game? I mean,
would that? I'm trying to think. Has Clemson done it? Clemson didn't do it, did they?
No, because we alternated.
Yeah, y'all alternated. So
it's probably something ridiculous like Penn State when he was at Michigan State or something silly, something like that.
Yeah, So I mean. It's hard to, you can beat Nick Saban, but can you do it twice in a row? I mean, that's the problem.
And not only twice in a row, but twice in a row when they have full guns pointed at you in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, and you made him mad.
Yeah,
there are
and
a lot
you
of
picked
people
the
saying,
fight. Yeah, exactly.
There are a lot of people saying that that Alabama's going to have a tough time playing Texas this year. I don't believe that. And Texas is a name that Quinn has announced that Quinn Ewers is going to be their starting quarterback. But I mean, Texas has the talent to beat Alabama, but they don't have the experience. So I think Alabama will take care of Texas pretty easily.
Me and Eric were looking at this last night. That's like week 3, isn't it?
Week 2.
Week 2? I mean, that gives Alabama a warm-up game. So if there's any issues, Saban will have it fixed before they go. So, yeah.
Right.
If it was like week 1, yeah, maybe a little chance, but no, I don't.
And that would be a former assistant. That would be a former assistant again, because so you know.
And
Let's
Texas
see,
has
what else was
injuries.
it?
I mean, that's what's hurting Texas. They have injuries, so they're not even going in the game 100%.
Right. So I was just reading this too, that Nebraska's coach Scott Frost says his offensive linemen are vomiting 15 to 20 times every practice. So he must be practicing them pretty hard.
Is that
I
just
think
to
he
lose
knows his
weight or
job's
what?
on the line. I think he knows his job's on the line.
Either that or he's feeding them too much.
They're trying to
But you
they're
know,
trying to
Nebraska,
cut weight.
I like Scott Frost. I think he's an excellent coach myself. I think he could be doing better at Nebraska, but I think this is a pivotal year for him. I think he'll turn it around this year. I really do. I'm going to go ahead and share the StreamYard link in the chat because we have people in there that have been asking questions and stuff, and see if anybody wants to come in. And you know what? This is a hangout, man. So we don't have to. We can just sit here and talk and BS if y'all want to and just hang out. That's fine with me. So there's a StreamYard link if anybody wants to join us and come in and say hi. You'll have to show yourself to me on camera before we'll put you in the stream. So just letting you know. You don't have to be on camera when you come into the stream, when you come on the stream, but you're going to have to get on camera backstage so I can see you.
Are we going to roll the dice for some crazy folks? I love it.
No, we're not going to roll the dice.
No judicial priest today.
Yeah, where's judicial protest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
He only
Yeah, I
shows
don't
up
know
when
where he
Tim's
is,
here,
but-
right?
I know.
That's Tim's
Well, now-
nemesis, right?
However,
live
I'll tell you guys something.
The last
Something
live show,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joey.
Oh, I was going to say the last live show, I had a meeting and couldn't be here. So I don't know, one of the mods might have hid judicial protest from the group, and he may not be able to chat anymore.
Well, Tim and I and LBC and some other folks are going to be joining Mark Rogers for USC post game live this year. So we'll see how that goes. That'll be kind of fun.
Yeah, tell him all about that, Ben. Tell him all about that. What you're doing. So that you're going to do 2 shows, right, Ben?
Well, that's the plan right now. We're trying to work on the Oregon post game show with some people, and then we're also trying to do our Sunday night, live chats, do a recap kind of the weekend, talk about upcoming stuff, as well as then we're trying to do the Pac-12 show potentially coming up on Thursday evenings to preview the weekend games and schedules and stuff like that.
This Mark Rogers show being on Sunday night, it's at 10, right?
That was what we projected. It would be 10 p.m. Eastern.
Now, who else going to be on that? Is this going to be you and Tim and Tony? And y'all are going to talk about every game, right? You're not just going to talk about Pac-12 stuff. You're going to talk about across the country.
Exactly. The Sunday night is a recap. Sunday night is a recap of the weekend. So it's going to involve all the conferences, all the games, stuff like that. It's not going to be just oriented towards one thing. So at that point, I'm not just a Duck fan. I'm a college football fan.
Yeah. So I put that link in the StreamYard there if anybody wants to join in. Huffer Billy, come on in here with us and say hi. I haven't talked to Huffer Billy in a while.
Huffer Billy is funny as hell.
Jeff, how's your channel doing, man? Go ahead and shout your channel out there, Jeff. Let everybody know what it is.
It's Tide Guy. I've been trying to do 2 videos. I wasn't able to do any yesterday. I've been kind of under the weather, but I will do a couple today. I think I got 60 subscribers so far in a week and a half.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. Hey, look, everybody. Pepsi, check. But I don't have my hat. I don't have the baseball cap. So. Let's see if I'm going back over here seeing if there's
and Jeff's channel is really great, guys. If you guys aren't watching, Jeff has a great. Jeff is a devout Alabama fan, but he has a great perspective on the whole sport, and really a holistic view of things. That he's really got always great ideas. I've yet to watch one of his videos and not think like, oh, that's really smart.
Thanks.
So if you guys aren't subscribed, that's a good one to watch.
Let's run over this real quick. I've just brought this up. This is top 20 games that will decide the 2022 college football playoffs. Let's see what we think. Notre Dame and Ohio State, September 3rd. I don't think that will have a thing in the world to do with the playoffs because if Notre Dame wins, Ohio State has plenty of time to redeem herself and vice versa. That game's too early, September 3rd. What do y'all think?
I think that if Notre Dame gets annihilated, it eliminates. Notre Dame will have a hard time justifying a playoff berth because Notre Dame's schedule is pretty soft. So depending on what happens with Notre Dame USC, like if Notre Dame gets wiped off the face of the earth on that, they're done for this. They're done for the playoffs, and they'll be able to maybe enjoy an Outback Bowl or something.
Yeah, I
Jeff,
believe
what
that.
do you think?
I believe that this game means a lot more to Notre Dame. Notre Dame has to win. Ohio State, like you said, they got the Big Ten Conference to go through. If they run the table after losing to Notre Dame, they're still in.
And the other thing is, if Notre Dame plays it real close, it could mean nothing. But I think the big fear in that, which actually could make it have that big impact, is if we're talking about like a 42-14, which we may be. I'll tell you, having watched Notre Dame my whole life and having almost gone there, if this game's close, I think Notre Dame wins. If Notre Dame doesn't win, I think they lose like 49-17 or something like that.
Jim,
I don't think Ohio State wins 2021.
The big question, though, is Ohio State's defense going to be much better than it has been?
Yeah. But I look at it this way, Ohio State got beat last year by Oregon. Anything can happen anytime. Nobody expected Oregon to beat Ohio State last year. So Notre Dame could upset Ohio State. Ben, what are you thinking on the game? Do you think it's too early in the season to really affect the playoffs, or could it if it's 49-17?
Well, being very early in the season, obviously, that we've seen the history that's beneficial because you can always recover from that. But if they get wiped off the face of the earth, they don't have a conference championship game too. So again, there's a lack of a bullet point that the committee says they look at. So,
but if
I don't think it'll totally kill them, but it won't help them.
But if Notre Dame loses to Ohio State, don't they play Clemson later in the year? What if they beat Clemson? Don't they play Clemson this year?
Yes.
So what if they turn around and beat Clemson later in the year?
But
So
what's
they can be
Clemson
right back
this
in.
year without Venables?
A very good question.
Yeah, I think it'll come down to also
another game.
What do all the other teams they play look like? Are they all like, is BYU 11-1, only lost to Notre Dame? Is USC only lost to Notre Dame? Like that would boost them a lot, but it really depends also what the other teams look like. Are they beating all 6-6 teams? And
I'm gonna give you 3 games I'm gonna announce 3 games here that they're saying is going to affect the playoffs, and y'all tell me which one of them 3 you think will affect it more. They're saying Clemson at Wake Forest, Wisconsin at Ohio State, and Arkansas versus Texas A&M. Jeff, go first. What do you think? Clemson, Wake Forest, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Alabama, Texas A&M. Which one would affect the playoffs more, do you think?
I think Wisconsin, Ohio State. I got Arkansas going 11-1 and beaten, but if Texas A&M beats Arkansas, it's not going to help them make the playoffs when they're going to go 8-4. I mean, Texas A&M has proven they can't do better than 8-4. So, to me, I'm looking at Wisconsin having a really good team this year. I just don't know if they can beat Wisconsin. But if they did beat Wisconsin, then that, to me, would be the game.
Tony, then 3?
I don't think any of them do. Because I don't think any I think Clemson whips Wake Forest, especially if Sam Hartman's not there. And I don't think any of those other teams are realistically going to be impacting the playoffs as for themselves.
But you don't think if Wisconsin beats Ohio State, that wouldn't impact the playoffs?
I don't think Wisconsin has a chance to beat Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree. Ben, what do you think?
I like Graham Mertz, but we haven't seen Wisconsin make a real good effort in a while. I love Wisconsin. I don't think they're going to do it.
Ben?
I'm the same as Tony. Yeah, I don't think any of them really have a major impact. But if it had to be, I would say it would probably be Wisconsin, Ohio State, because like Tony just pointed out, if Wake Forest doesn't have Sam Hartman, we don't know how that's going to even go for them. So I would think it would have to be Wisconsin, Ohio State, if any of the three.
Yeah. Okay, so then here's three more: Oklahoma State at Baylor, NC State at Clemson, and Texas A&M and Alabama. Them three good games, and all three of them could affect playoffs, in my opinion. Because Oklahoma State, if they beat Baylor, I feel like Oklahoma State's going to lose a game or two, possibly even three this year. So if they could beat Baylor, that would probably keep them out of the playoffs. NC State's going to be a pretty good team. Can they get back Clemson and upset Clemson, and will that affect the playoffs? And of course, we all know about Texas A&M, Alabama. So, anybody have anything different, or y'all agree with me? All three of those do affect it.
I think Oklahoma State. I think the Baylor one will have the most effect.
Yeah, because that could decide if a Big 12 team's even going to get in, if you think about it, because Baylor is projected to be the best team in the Big 12 this year. They've got some tough games, like, Oklahoma State, and then they've got to come to Morgantown to play West Virginia. So Baylor's got some tough games.
And they got to go to Provo.
One loss in the Big 12 this year. Right. So one loss in the Big 12 could keep them out of the playoffs. So that I agree. That's a pretty big game.
I don't know if anybody from the Big 12 can survive undefeated. If they can, like, that game is going to be a pivotal point, because it's probably going to be one of those two teams.
Yeah. Next three games they got is Texas versus Oklahoma, Ohio State and Michigan State, and USC and Utah. That's going to be a good game. I can't wait to see that USC-Utah game, because I want to see what USC and Lincoln Riley with that offense can do against Utah, and they're big and physical, man. They pushed a lot of teams around last year. What's going to happen this year? I think Utah's going to win the Pac-12. I really do. You're muted, Tony.
Oh, sorry. Whoever loses that game is not going to the playoffs. So that game could have a big playoff impact. And it's USC is such a wild card. I mean, I want to say I think it's going to be a great game. It might be, or it might not be.
It's kind of like the Notre Dame Ohio State. It's either going to be a really good close game, or
it might get ugly.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the thing about USC is, and I mean, I love that people are predicting us to go 10-2. I love it. I love that we're like one of the most like bet on dark horse teams in Vegas and all that. But just in all honesty, if they can turn 8-4 into 4-8, or 4-8 into 8-4, that's a great season. Because they were like a bad 4-8 team last year. So we need to start. John, I see you saying USD will finish 10-2. I hope to God we do. But in all honesty, if we finish 8-4, that's a great season for us right now. But I hope you're right, and we might be able to do it. I mean, that's the thing, is that this. I don't think there's ever been a team that has made such a just complete turnaround and upgrade of its staff and entire personnel base. It's really never been done. I mean, you got to look at like baseball, the only type of place where you see something like this degree. And so, the Marlins, the year they won. So, if you told me USC went 8-4, I'd be like, oh, great. If you told me USC won the national championship, I'd be like, that's awesome. And anything in between that is possible.
Well, and you guys just picked up. You guys have 40 new players between recruiting and the transfer portal. There's only 85 scholarship players, so that's half the team right there has been replaced. And it's not like you lost anybody compared to what you gained. I mean, you look at what you gained. I mean, this is a whole different team. I think you guys will go 9-3. That's what I have you guys going. I
think you're right. But that the gelling of all those pieces, which is hopefully going to be awesome, you know, there might be a game or two. Like the Fresno State game terrifies me, because the Oregon State game terrifies me, because the thing of it is like, when you think about a team like Ohio State, they got all the great players. Oklahoma last year under Lincoln Riley, I mean, things are rolling. The thing of it is when you, in anything in life, right? Think about stuff you do around the house. When you cobble things together, even if it's great parts, sometimes there's a little gem, gunk in the gears.
Right.
I think USC. I've got USC ceiling at 10-2. I think that's their ceiling. But I
love you, Joey. I love you dearly.
They could finish 7-5. You know, really easily. They could finish 7-5. Because when you turn over a pretty much your whole roster, like you said, and all your coaching staff turns over, and plus, I don't know
new systems too, new offensive system and new defensive system.
Right. I don't know how the culture is there either after your former coach. I don't know, what the culture is like and what Lincoln Riley walked into.
Because that's the thing is there's basically no culture from the old. I mean, they literally took the entire thing and put it in the garbage can.
Which I love. What's going on, buddy?
Hey guys, I couldn't stand it, and I was actually rebuilding a grill out back, putting new burners in, and I finally just said, put this aside. You guys were talking about some of the challenges, I think, with USC trying to get back. They'll be back eventually. I think they're investing in it now, but they have a long road, and I'm telling you, these teams. There's a lot of mystery this year. That's why it's going to be a good year. I think there's a lot of unknowns. A lot of parity is about to show up.
You're totally right, Hyper Billy. I think I like your word parity there, because I think it's something we've been missing a lot, and it's kind of cool to get it back.
When I like the question marks, like you said, that's it. You just change over half the roster plus. I mean, are they going to mesh together, or is it literally just going to be everyone doing something for themselves? You don't know, and that's the fascinating part. Same with Oregon. We don't know what to expect. So it's who knows what's going to happen this year with a lot of the teams, like Clemson coaching, assistant changes.
Yeah, we have unknowns. We have a lot of question marks.
It's
great. Look around everywhere, because even Miami, Miami's supposed to have this great team, but there's unknown there because Mario Cristobal's coming in. What's going on? What's going to happen? LSU, a lot of unknown there. USC, Oregon, Nebraska's an unknown. How good is Scott Frost? Can he turn around the best 3-9 team any of us have ever seen?
I mean, heck, Michigan's an unknown.
Well, the nice thing about LSU, though, is Brian Kelly is getting that Southern accent down.
By the way, T2Y had a video today, just so you know, about Miami's spring game and stuff. He said the receivers are still having the drops. He says, so it could be a long year.
Man,
a little bit of stick 'em.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. There's so many crazy factors for all these teams. But what I love is that it starts off. We get some of our first big answers with the backyard brawl. And that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that'll be a great game because it's a long time coming. We haven't seen it in a long time, and we need it. We needed it years and years. Every year we need it.
Every year.
We do need it. We do need it every year.
We are only 6 days away from some big questions getting answered, especially Northwestern. And so,
I mean, isn't this the year is this the year Northwestern's good or bad? They always alternate. I don't remember.
They should be good. They've been down the last couple.
Okay, so this is probably the year they're good to be back. I mean, people rip at Northwestern. The Ryan family just gave them another $450 million for their sports programs.
Well, that's it. Is this Northwestern's good year? Because Northwestern's the team that has 2 to 3 really crappy years, and then all of a sudden wins the division.
So like Iowa. Iowa's the same way. Iowa has one good year every 4 years.
I pull for those teams though. Every time they show up and they're good, I'm just pulling for them, and I have no loyalty to them at all. It's just I love the underdog. I like to see them come in and shake up everything. That's what makes it fun.
I'll tell you, I almost went to grad school at Northwestern. They have great people there. Just the people at Northwestern are awesome.
I agree.
A lot of time in Evanston.
talking about the backyard brawl, that's two teams that are unknown right there, West Virginia and Pitt. Graham Harrell coming in at West Virginia. Pitt's got a new offensive coordinator themselves.
New quarterback.
So, what's going to happen there? New quarterback. Both of them got new quarterbacks. Both of them USC quarterback transfers.
Yeah, Joe, I was just going to say, are you talking about the Eastern version of USC's 2018 inter-team scrimmage?
Yeah, really. It's like Graham Harrell coming in and running an offense with two quarterbacks that he coached. He coached both them quarterbacks.
He coached both of them.
So he knows his weaknesses, and then he's coached JT Daniels, so he knows his strengths. So that might give West Virginia a little edge up here in this game, I think.
I like it. I think it's going to be a great game.
I want JT Daniels to be a dark horse for the Heisman after about 5 games, just to see the look on Lou's face. That's what I want.
Eric L, thank you for the Eric L, thank you for the $2 super chat. He says, "Where's Golden Blue Dude?" I tied him in a closet and told him we've taken over. No, really, he's spending the day with his wife, taking the day off, and we were all sitting around bored, and a lot of us we talk on social media and stuff. And I said, "Well, I'm gonna start up a stream on Golden Blue Dude's channel, and we'll just hang out." So that's what we did. So, hey guys, we got a Pitt fan coming in here with us.
Pitt fan.
Hey, John Waffle.
Hello.
Hey, John Waffle.
Hello.
Hey,
is this the famous John Waffle? I've never seen you in person. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
My dad's from the South Hills, so he'll probably be cheering for you guys.
That's good. Well, I heard you guys talk about Pitt. I mean, honestly, I think you guys are all sleeping on Pitt this year. I think we're a dark horse contender.
A contender for what?
The playoff.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you
I have no argument in this fight, but I'm not sleeping on Pitt. It's going to be a good game. It's a really good game.
John, I'll tell you. I don't know. I'll tell you, John. I'm not sleeping on Pitt, but I think that after watching your spring game, I think that you've got a lot of work to do on offense before you can talk about making a playoff, don't you?
Well, yes, but we have the weapons in place.
You really
think you go undefeated? They weren't in sync in spring.
Can I turn my camera off?
Yeah, just
sure.
hit the camera button.
Thank you.
There you go.
So we have Keaton Slovis. I saw the offense wasn't that good, but I mean the defensive line and the offensive line, I said this before, will make up for it, and it's going to be a different play. It's not like last year. It's this year, and I do think our ceiling is 9-3. I mean, no, not
we got a $5
get you a playoff.
Or
the least win.
Oh, go ahead.
Hold on 1 second there, John. We got a $5 super chat from Jake Zappin. He says, "Tony, great analysis as always on the realignment front. Can you give me a recommendation between 2 PhD programs?"
It depends on what they're in, Jake. Put it in the chat, and I'll take a look. I don't necessarily know.
Thank you, Jake. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Also, Jake, one piece of advice came from an amazing statistics professor. She went to Stanford, and she said half true that one of the big deciding factors was the Stanford robes were so much better, and she knew that as a professor she'd have to wear the robes for the rest of her life, and so she was like, "I just like the Stanford robes a lot better." Made me laugh, but it was Stanford, so she was.
Well, that's actually a very sane way to look at things because they all are pretty good. None of them horrible.
All right, John,
I know, right?
What was you saying there, John, about Slovis and your offense?
Yeah, I was thinking Slovis. I know the work we have to do, but I mean like I said, the defensive line and the offensive line will make that up. I mean, I know you say that you're going to beat WVU this year, but here's the thing: WVU lost 70% of their team. I don't think JT Daniels is going to carry the weight on WVU, and it's going to show how good Pitt is on September 1st.
I don't have the
Because
numbers in front of me, but I don't know where you're getting 70% of their team is gone.
Well, you said not 70%, but like a lot of the team has transferred. And I have to say this. I think Gil Brown is the cause for that. But that's a different
backups. Story. They were all Holgerson recruits and all backups except for one, and that was Akeem Messidor, who transferred to Miami. And I don't blame him. I would have transferred to Miami too for $800,000 a year. So
I'm willing to transfer to Miami tomorrow for $800,000 a year. I'll get in the car tonight.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Give me a call. I'll be down there. So I mean,
yeah.
We lost one player to the transfer portal. Now, mind you, we lost one last year that mattered too, but we've lost one player to the transfer portal that really could affect the team, and it really won't affect it much because Akeem Messidor was able to get free and make so many tackles for loss because everybody was trying to block Dante Stills. So they were double teaming Dante Stills. Akeem Messidor right there beside him would just get in there and make the sack or tackle for loss. We just next man up. You're still going to have to double team Dante Stills, and the next man up is just going to take over that role.
But here's the thing. I mean, last year, I'm not trying to put in the record for last year because it's totally different team for both schools. But the reality, it shows for the coaching, it shows for the players that are coming back. Pitt has an elite deep line and an elite O line, and I'm going to say this. I think we have a chance. I'm very concerned for this game, but we have a chance to go 4-0 for the first 4 weeks. First 4 weeks.
I'll say this to you. All right, let me say this first. Eric Gill, thank you for the $2 super chat. Whereas Tim still crying. I actually messaged Tim, and I haven't heard back from him yet. So he may come in. Who knows? I will say this to you, John. You say you think you can go 4-0. Even if you're able to get by West Virginia, I don't see you getting by Tennessee.
Yeah, I know that's a problem. That's a game that I said we are going to lose. I have us going 10-2 this year. But I wouldn't be surprised either way. It's at home. I think there's going to be another very big crowd for this game. And we're also looking forward to it.
Well, the game sold out in 15 minutes. So
yeah,
the game sold out in 15 minutes. So yeah, it's a huge crowd. And then they started selling Sandy Romoli. Have you seen the number of West Virginia fans that actually bought season tickets for Pitt? They bought season tickets for Pitt so they could go to this game.
Can you show me the data where it says WVU fans bought all the tickets?
I didn't say they bought all the tickets. I said, did you see where they were buying season tickets?
Oh,
no. I heard a lot of
one game.
Because it's cheaper.
It's cheaper to buy a season ticket than it is to buy a ticket for this one game. So they just bought season tickets.
Okay.
So,
also, since my brother is a proud Bronco, are you guys forgetting you got to win in Kalamazoo?
Yeah,
I didn't go so well.
We're due for revenge for them. I don't see it's going to be a night game for them. It's a MAC school. We're just, no offense, but I think we're hungry.
After getting your ass handed to you by Western Michigan, you don't get to say it's a MAC school.
Yeah,
the it's a MAC school excuse does not work when you're on a 1-game losing streak to the MAC at home.
John, let me ask you this. John, let me ask you this. Who do you think has a better offense?
Gotta stand up for my brother from the Broncos.
John, who do you think has a better offense, Western Michigan or West Virginia?
I don't know really too much of Western Michigan's offense, if I'm being honest with you. I think last year it was pretty good. That's why they had an advantage. But no offense to those schools. Nothing. I don't hate those schools, but I just don't really pay attention to the stats there.
Yeah, that probably didn't help last year. You guys might want to.
Who do you think has the more talent? Let me ask you this: Who has the more talented? Who has the most talent on their offense, West Virginia or Western Michigan?
I would have to go through West Virginia.
Okay,
because
so
I've
how many
never.
Points did they get last year? 40. They got 42 points and 520 yards of offense on you last year. Am I right?
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, I don't think we were ready for that.
Now, John, that's that elite defense you're talking about, right? That elite defense of Pitt's.
Yes, home. But if you look at, they also gave Michigan a fight at home at Michigan. They gave them a fight. Michigan ended up winning, and they have a good defense, a better defense.
I mean, for like 2 quarters, they gave Michigan a fight. I got to deal with the phone calls after that game.
But my question is,
I'll give
the
you
10-2 Pitt team. Even you said that Pitt is going to challenge for the playoffs. If you got them losing 2 games, how a 1-loss Pitt team ain't going to make the playoffs?
He said they were a dark horse, which I could see.
I said the dark horse. I mean, heck. Sorry for the language. I think they could if they win. I think this is a very favorable schedule. I was scared at first, but I mean, I'm not too high on Louisville and North Carolina this year like some people are. I think we can go basically win all out until Miami from that North Carolina game and to the Miami game. The only team I'm really nervous about, I mean, I'm not nervous about Western Michigan this year. Really, I'm not, because I mean, Narduzzi is going to have that on their mind. Everyone was trashing Pitt about that, and if we lose, I will be shocked. We have a negative 1% chance to lose that game, in my opinion. But I mean,
after getting your ass handed to you last year, it's probably more than a negative 1%. Also, you can't have a negative 1%, but it's probably still more.
But I mean, I'm looking at the schedule. I think it's very favorable for Pitt to be a dark horse, not have us to the playoff. I do have us losing teams. Like I said, this is a different offense. We are gonna mess up, but for the majority, I think we're gonna hold our offensive line and defensive line to win these games and put pressure on it. And also one thing, Keaton Slovis, is it true that he really didn't have a good offensive line at USC?
Oh, they were terrible.
Yes.
They were terrible.
That's why I don't think he had good stats the last year.
And they also didn't have a good defense or good running.
This is a better O-line that we have at Pitt this year than the one that USC had. I think Keaton Slovis is going to be a lot better. He's not, like I said, I don't think he's not Kenny Pickett, but he is going to do a lot better in this offense, in my opinion.
And John,
okay, John, who else?
John, you probably didn't see those games. Joey, just real quick, John, you probably didn't see those games, but as USC's team got worse, Keaton Slovis' performance went down. It didn't necessarily go down because Keaton Slovis was bad. It went down because USC got terrible.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what
he's a great quarterback. He's a great. That's why I'm so excited for the backyard brawl, because both as a Trojan, both Pitt and West Virginia have great USC quarterbacks who I think both are overdue for their moment to really succeed with some great teams, and that's part of what's going to make it a really exciting game.
And both teams have better offensive lines than USC had. Both teams have better offensive lines. So you got to remember that JT Daniels played behind that same offensive line too out there, and he got hurt, so there's a lot to remember. Let me get to the super chat. Eric L says, PJ Fleck built a boat at Western Michigan. So let's see. And I've got another one here too. Let me bring it in. Jake Zappin, thank you for the $5 super chat as well. He says, Tony, I'll shoot you an email. I have decided between the 2 programs by tonight, so any thoughts are much appreciated.
So PJ Fleck started the boat at Michigan, and in Minnesota, it got a hole in it.
It might just be frozen in one of the lakes.
That's true. Maybe
just frozen in, stuck in the ice.
I have to say, John, I loved your rationalization of Pitt, and I think they're going to be better than a lot of people give them credit for. I'm not going to discount them there. I think they are going to be better than everybody thinks they lost so much, just because of the quarterback situation is an unknown. But I just don't know how you come to the conclusion that you guys are going to go to the playoffs. I mean, there's so many obstacles in front of you, and you said you're not scared of certain teams, but you're not going to get the ACC championship game. That'd be for sure. If you're undefeated to get there, then one loss Pitt isn't going. So,
well,
Yeah, and
I mean, go ahead.
well, John, I'm just saying you also lost Jordan Addison, and I think that's just such a huge blow to the Pitt program. You know, when you had him, I had you guys winning by 3 points. I don't see how you can win without him. Not right now. If it was later in the season, if this was 6 or 7 games in, and you had found the receivers to replace Jordan Addison, you might, I may be going, okay, Pitt's going to win this game. But game one, I don't see how you replace him and lose all that production on offense and still have the offense you had last year.
Well, the thing is, I've seen what I saw, and really, I always knew that this wouldn't be. I mean, Jordan Addison, yes, was a big loss, and yeah, I'm still kind of mad about that. But the reality is, I'm seeing more from. We have a lot of other players on the roster that could help with this. I don't know if Keaton Slovis. This is a different type of offense. This isn't going to be the offenses as last year. I think it's going to be a good offense, but I mean, it's not going to be like Kenny Pickett's throwing style offense.
I got another super chat. Let me bring that up. Eric L., thank you for the $5 super chat. He says Pitt has an elite defense this year.
Yeah,
and can't wait for Pitt to curb stomp.
I mean, it's a good defense. I wouldn't say it's elite.
Let's do this. All right, let's do this again. Let's do this one more time. All right, so let me bring this up. Just give me a second here. Sorry, not that one. Maybe it's this one here. Okay. So let me come back in there and share this screen. Let me share the screen. Oh, sorry. No, that's not the right one. Just a second. I'll find it here.
Come on, Joey.
I'm working on it.
I'll say this. I think we have a better chance of making the playoff than Clemson this year. Yeah, this isn't anything. Looking at the stats, that's what I'm seeing.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's great. I mean, I tell people this all the time, and this is what's great about college football when nobody's played a game yet. But and I have the same issue, right? So I say that too about Clemson. Clemson's going to win. They're going to be 12-0. We're going to the playoffs. We're going to win the Natty. That's how goofy that is.
I just want to know also. Can you share whatever drugs have inspired this wonderful vision? Share. Sharing is caring.
Yes.
I'm just kidding, John. We love you and we love Pitt. We're just teasing you.
Last year's Pitt defense was 42nd in the nation, and West Virginia was 45th. Okay? And we give up less points per game than you. We gave up 2.5 points per game, and you gave up 3.2 points per game. Or touchdowns per game. I'm sorry. Touchdowns per game. And we gave up 2.5. You gave up 3.2 touchdowns per game. So our defense was better as far as stopping and keeping people from scoring. We've got the same defense coming back as well. How do you have an elite defense and we don't? We lost Hakeem Messador. And our secondary is better. Our secondary's got 1,000 stars between them. What does your secondary have?
Well, I mean, what do you is that last year's data or 2020's data?
That was 2021.
So, but the defense for WVU regressed last year, I thought.
Their defense last year was 45th, and yours was 42nd.
Well, I'm sorry, I just don't agree with those stats.
J-Dub,
Well, it's
can you
kind of
came up
hard
for
to
me just a
dispute
second?
numbers. I mean, a number is a number. It don't have, it's not going to be beneficial to one team over another. It's just numbers.
Okay, so I know it's J-Dub. Hey, J-Dub.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
J-Dub, good to see you again. Hey, that was a lot of fun last night. Thanks for all the time you put into that for us.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
very
good
welcome.
question.
I had no idea that we were going to have the traveling pools explosion that we had. I mean,
You know what? No, he deserves it every once in a while. He deserves
yeah,
it.
I didn't stack the categories or anything in one person's favor. In fact, I tried to avoid having, categories where one person was clearly obvious, but 55
it was
points
great.
or whatever he scored, that was amazing.
It was good, J-Dub. So don't apologize. He deserved
No, it was good. It was just one of those perfect storms where everybody right in front of TF didn't know anything about all the things. He was just like grabbing layups one after the other.
Right.
No, Pete threw the game last night.
Oh yeah. Oh no, Pete,
that
that was just a massive strategic error. Well, and the best thing is, this is about a Jeopardy game we were on, guys. By the way, the best thing is Pete actually did the math wrong because he was trying to sabotage the leader, and I was actually in the lead. But then he just handed it to TF, and I didn't know the answer. So he would, if he'd given it to me, it would have like devastated me. But instead, it just catapulted TF to lap us all. It was a lot of fun.
So I went back and watched.
The surprise for me last night was that the bowling category had everybody so scared off. I actually thought.
Category.
Oh,
well,
Joey, you would have scored a million points in that.
I actually thought that the on safari. I always thought that the on safari. I thought, okay, that'll be about Africa. Nobody's going to want to know any questions about that, or they won't. Nobody will be interested because it'll be about animals or whatever. I thought that'll be the one that everybody avoids, and because surely everybody's gone bowling once in their life, and it's like no. And then Joe came up with the Walter Ray Williams. I mean, I thought Earl Anthony and Norm Duke. Somebody has maybe stumbled across that name somewhere along the way, but they're never going to know that this guy from the 40s and the 50s was and then he pulled Walter Ray Williams out, and I just sit here in my chair going, oh my God.
Okay, so I got another super chat here from Eric L. He says WVU is going to have a 1-5 start to the season this year. Okay. Maybe WVU should consider dropping down to the AAC or Conference USA where they can be competitive. I hear you, Eric L. Thank you for the $5 donation, but I don't think West Virginia will start 1-5. They might lose. They might drop the game to Pitt, but they're not going to lose to Kansas, and they won't lose their cupcake game either. So,
unlike Texas, they won't lose to Kansas.
Yeah, Texas.
Yeah.
All this discussion about the backyard brawl has been a real eye opener for me, and it shows to me something that I've often contended and often tried to use as an important plus for college football, even if I wasn't aware of it, and that's that these regional rivalries are huge. I mean, if you're not exposed to Oregon State, if you're not exposed to Arizona State or whatever, if you're not here in the middle of godforsaken Iowa, you don't know what Iowa State means. Because, like, to me, Pitt and West Virginia matters. That game to me matters as much as a pair of two junior colleges from Kansas meeting on a Friday afternoon. I mean, I could care less, because to me, they're two programs that, from my team's point of view, mean nothing. They're nothing to Alabama. They're not going to challenge them. They're not going to get in the playoffs. They're a side of the road attraction you just drive by. But to the people that are involved, it's huge. And that's what I think is so great about college football, and kind of why I don't like these conference realignments, because I'm a big believer in the regionality of football. That that Indiana and Purdue matters to those people because the campuses are 2 hours apart. Illinois and Indiana and Northwestern matter to each other because their alumni meet on the loop in Chicago and argue all day long.
Well,
that's what fires up the game. It always doesn't have to be Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Auburn, Texas, Oklahoma, to talk about great rivalries. This Pitt, West Virginia game is obviously a great rivalry. Look at the passion that's involved with the people that are involved,
Yeah, I think
it's huge.
Well, according to John Waffle. Well, now, according to John Waffle, because he put this in a comment that this is not a rivalry at all.
Well, that was just me trolling to get people worked up. And it kind of worked.
It worked.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's more like I think it's more of a upper tier rival because of what it used to be on like the last day of the year. It used to be like on Thanksgiving weekend, which a lot of people watch. That's why I think it's more upper tier than some of the lower class rivalries, in my opinion.
And
JW, it used to be a third Thanksgiving night. It used to be Thanksgiving night. Then they moved it to Friday night.
Yeah.
And, it ended on Friday. It ended when the rivalry ended back in 2011 or 2012. Last time we played.
I'll tell you one of the things.
That was a Friday.
One of the things I wish we got a little bit more of, and ESPN does this sometimes. I feel like they've fallen a little too much into SEC dribble sometimes, and so we don't get it as much. Is that kind of like Olympic style, like catch up? To sort of like remind the rest of us how important some of these rivalries and games and traditions and history are. I mean, it's kind of like, every 4 years for the Olympics, like they immediately get us all up to speed on like, what the figure skating rivalries or the gymnastics rivalries, and we all get all excited about it. And we don't know squat about any of that. And so, I wish that they would do more of that with football rivalries and get the whole country excited about Iowa State and about the backyard brawl and about, Boston College and Notre Dame, for example. People don't realize like the issue of like the Jesuits versus the non-Jesuits is a really big deal. So when Notre Dame loses to Boston College, it's those priests losing to the Jesuits, and that's a big deal. So things like that are awesome.
This, super chat.
We get them.
Read this super chat here from Eric L. Thanks again, Eric L, for your $5 super chat. He says at the end of the season, Marshall will be 11-2. Will be confirmed as the best team in West Virginia, who will be 3-9. That would make me happy if Marshall could go 11-2. But unfortunately, they're probably not going to do that, and they play a lot less competition than West Virginia does. So if they go 11-2, I'd be proud of Marshall, though. I have nothing against them. That's not a rivalry, Tony, by the way.
Tony, are you talking about the Jesuits of Boston College?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're loaded at Georgetown too.
Oh, yeah, same thing.
I know in basketball when Georgetown plays DePaul, which is very rare, but that's the same kind of interclerical scrum that Notre Dame Boston College is. It matters a whole lot because Boston College and Notre Dame being the only two major Catholic schools that are playing football. But if you look at basketball, here comes the list: Marquette, Des Moines Mercy, or Detroit Mercy,
the whole Big East.
All the old Big East, Seton Hall, Providence, Georgetown.
And Georgetown's the hoity-toity one. The hoity-toity one that's so Jesuit. Awesomely Jesuit, and it just drives the other ones crazy.
Jesuit who?
So we got another super chat. Got another super chat here. Eric L, thanks again for the $5 super chat. He says WVU is too scared to play its actual in-state rival, Marshall. Mountaineers and mountain chickens. No, we're undefeated. We're undefeated against Marshall. Marshall's never beaten us, even when they had Randy Moss and Chad Pennington as their quarterback and had their best team of all time. They went 11-1. Their lone loss was to West Virginia game 1. The thing about it is there's no need in playing Marshall because there's nothing in it. West Virginia just has to pay them $500,000 to play them, and they if we win the game, we don't gain nothing. If we lose it, well, we shouldn't have lost to Marshall. So there's nothing to win, nothing to gain there. So.
Well, there's a lot to be said about these games where, I hear it all the time. I hear all the time that, why is Bama playing Mercer or whatever? Here, week one's a perfect example. Alabama had when they decided not to play a neutral site game to start the seasons anymore. All of a sudden they had a week one opening, and they couldn't find anybody to fill the slot. So Saban has said this all the time. People are telling us, well, why don't you play? Because nobody wants to play us. Alabama's having to pay Utah State $2.2 million. You think they want to do that? They don't want to do that. They'd rather, they'd rather play somebody that they didn't have to pay, even if it was a bigger school, But
here's a super chat for you.
But we all do that. We all do that, J-Dub. I mean,
J-Dub, here's a super chat. J-Dub, here's a super chat for you from John Marzula, 499 super chat. Thanks, John. He says, I think even rivalries as big as the Iron Bowl are only relevant to the country because of big moments like the kick six. Rivalry moments mean more.
Well, there's a good point with what JW is saying. Regional rivalries do mean a lot, like especially in state. And that's why a lot of them are played at the end of the year too, because it's that pride factor. Like the other team has to remember it for another year until they get another shot at them. It's a great tradition in college football.
Especially when here's the question
Go ahead, Kenny.
Go ahead, Kenny.
Here's the question that I have for John Waffle. If you have such a elite defense, who's going to double team who to cover West Virginia when Bryce Ford Wheaton and Sam James are out there on the same set?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're weak. You're slow. You're weak in the defensive backs. You're weak on defensive back, John.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. Our defense. I may have over talked. Our defense is all coming back. They're all solid, but yeah, it's not perfect.
Your defense is coming
and
all
JT
back.
Daniels has one, and JT Daniels has one of the fastest releases in college football.
But who's JT Daniels passing to? I'm just curious.
Some very talented receivers like Bryce Ford Wheaton, who's a fifth-year senior, or he might be sixth-year senior this year. And then we have Sam James, who is also a fifth-year senior. Nice. They're very good. They're very fast. So he's got plenty of targets. And we have a walk-on.
I'll say something about. I have to throw in a little anecdote about Pitt. A lifelong friend of mine. We've been good friends for literally 50 years, starting from the first grade. Is a professor at Carnegie University, and that's how you pronounce it. It's not Carnegie, it's Carnegie, in Pittsburgh. He lives in Beaver Falls, so he has to drive through the city of Pittsburgh to get to his campus. And the route that he often chooses takes him right through Pitt's campus. And I've asked him about Pitt, just, what's your general thoughts? Is it a nice campus or whatever? And he told me and this guy is complete, although he's a good friend of mine, he's never been a sports guy. And his observation was, number one, you don't even know you're on a campus when you're going through Pitt. And number two, you go through Penn State, you go through Ohio State, you go through Michigan, you go through other big schools, and half the student body is wearing their stuff. I mean, you know what campus you're on because you're looking around and 300 kids, out of 300 kids, there's like 100 of them got sweatshirts on that say Bama or Roll Tide or whatever. You go through Pitt, you see nothing. You see nothing says Pitt, nothing says Panthers. Nobody's wearing the gear. Nobody's flying the colors. He said, you're not even aware that you're there. Well, and this is a guy that has absolutely zero interest in intercollegiate sports. But
in Pitt's defense, though, it's a pro town. So most people are wearing Pittsburgh
stuff. Yeah. They've got that working against them. Yeah.
But the same thing, right? You're exactly right. On campus, though, they should be wearing Pitt Panther stuff, and they're not, John.
So,
why is that?
So hold on. Your friend said he saw 0 people wearing Pitt stuff.
Well, not 0, but I mean, so few that it doesn't stand out. I mean, you go to an average campus, and lots of the students you're going to run into are wearing the gear of, some kind of gear where you're aware that, I might be on a campus here because look at all this Minnesota stuff,
To call him out on this, I'm not you, but your friend. That you're on Pitt's campus because there's a big cathedral, like literally in the middle of it, and a bunch of old buildings. So it's definitely a college campus. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people that don't wear Pitt stuff, but there's also it's 50-50. So I mean, I don't know, man.
That just don't show pride in your team, man.
Let me get these.
Well, I do agree with what Joey said, though, that they got. I mean, the Stillers, which is how they pronounce it. The Stillers are such a dominant presence in Pittsburgh that it's.
Well,
they do have to fight against that.
I think we're gonna have to get some Yinzers. I think we need some Yinzers perspectives.
I understand what he's saying because our basketball team is horrible right now. I mean, if you probably went last year, it was probably 99% Pitt here on the campus because of how good we were.
Yeah. Okay, let me get these super chats. The Real Hayden, $5 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. I think we need the actual games to start. These arguments are getting ridiculous, and I can't wait for the game to start. That is a good point, and I'm excited about that. Okay, and the next one is from Eric L. once again, and Tim, he's calling you out. Tim, were you a ball boy during your tenure at USC? I think Reggie Bush publicly complimented your techniques and use of goal bond. Can't hear you, Tim.
I don't know where to go with some of the people that are on your show, Joey, are a bit demented.
They mad at me.
I wonder if that's that's your buddy. No, that's Eric Gale, so he's your lot. So. They like picking on you, Tim.
They can have that as long as they pay you, Joey. I don't care what these children say, man.
Hey, John Waffle, do you mind if I rotate you out so I can rotate Talker's Pitt in for a little bit?
Yeah, no problem. See you guys.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, buddy. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
I love all the old rivalries.
Hey, John Waffle, we were just giving you a hard time. We love you.
Yeah. We do. We love you. I mean, don't worry about it.
But we do. We were just teasing you.
Hey, Talker's Pitt. Hey, Talker's Pitt.
What's up, Joey? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Okay.
I'm feeling good.
Good. Okay, so
I love the rivalry games where you've got a nickname or a trophy, like the backyard brawl, the Iron Bowl, the old oaken bucket, the little brown jug, the egg bowl. You got Iowa and Minnesota play for a cast iron pig, for God's sake. You got Paul Bunyan's axe. You got a lot of these great trophy games and rivalries, and usually they're towards the end of November. Most of them are. It's kind of unusual to play early in the season. Iowa and Iowa State play what's called the Cyhawk, and that's always week 2. And I think they keep it week 2 because that's where it's always been. But if you ask the fan bases would love to see it move to the end of November. But they won't do it because of their conference schedules. But a lot of these are towards the end of the year. It kind of gives you a little excitement in November because even if your team's having a bad year, they still got a chance to beat that hated rival, at the end and maybe spoil their season.
Okay, so I put I've got John Barzola, who's also a Hail to Pitt fan, and then Talker's Pitt's in here, and they're both on the bottom. I did that on purpose. Thank you. So let's see what y'all got. So Talker's Pitt, John, go ahead, Talker's Pitt. What's going on, man? You ready for this backyard brawl? I know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my new boss won't let me attend the game, so that's not happening. So I have to listen to it while I'm at work, which brings me to my next point. I work right near Pitt's campus, and for somebody to sit up there and be that blind must be smoking some good shit that I need to get my hands on. Just saying.
You say, because you're saying that there's a lot of people wearing Pitt Panther gear.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
The hell?
that's really loud.
I know.
Is that Edward with his trash can?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
No, but there are hundreds and hundreds of students, alumni, old timers, just people general wearing Pitt gear, especially since the end of last season. Even though we lost the Peach Bowl, the general fan base, I hate to admit it, but a lot of them are bandwagoners right now at this point, because if you're not going to support us when we're down, please don't ever support us when we're doing good. I don't do that crap. Okay.
But talk is Pitt to what you're saying there, that there's I don't know how many students Pitt has, but there's 32,000 on the campus at West Virginia University, and you go up there at any time and there's thousands of students.
Yeah.
At Pitt, you're saying there's hundreds. So there's
there's more than that. I mean, but you guys also have to realize one thing. Pitt isn't the only Division I college football program in the city of Pittsburgh. There's 3: Pitt, Duquesne, Robert Morris. All right. There's also Carnegie Mellon, that's Division III, who, believe it or not, does have a fan base.
Wait, hold on. Are we really quickly? Are we equating Pitt with? Dude, you want to stop with this right now? You're digging yourself worse if you're going to equate Pitt with Robert Morris.
No. First of all, that's not even what I was going to do.
Okay.
I was equating to the fact that football. I was equating to the fact that football is so big in the city of Pittsburgh. Everybody has a fan base. There's so much football to go around that everyone has a fan base, including the high school teams. High school football is extremely popular in the city.
It's huge. My dad played for CC.
So,
let me get these super chats. Real quick.
Go ahead.
The Real Hayden, thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, J-Dub obviously lives in Ames, because Iowa State fans are the only ones. Well, he's not an Iowa State fan, I'll tell you that. Iowa State fans are the only ones that once Cy Hall played at the end of the year, Iowa does just fine at the beginning of the year. Go off.
And that, by the way, is the Real Hayden, as in the illustrious.
I don't live in Ames, I live in Clive.
And he's a photographer for Iowa, so he's not a fan of
Iowa State. Iowa State pays me. I'm not loyal to Iowa State.
Right. And next super chat coming in from John Waffle HGP. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. He said, "Just saying, I'm not offended by the campus thing. I was trolling back." Yeah, we know, John Waffle. No problem.
Okay, we know that, John Waffle.
I mean, I have to agree with Talk is Pitt. You know, I mean, Joey knows. I just trolled him the other day. I was flying out of Pittsburgh. I was there for like a week doing some filming, and I sent him a photo of the Pittsburgh team bus at the airport, and it was like, "They're ready for you." Yeah, you can drive through Pittsburgh, and you see so many different team jerseys just wandering the street, whether it's actual fans or tourists coming in. You know, there's so many options. So I get Talk is Pitt's point.
Well, do you mind if I add on to that, just to piggyback off of what he was saying?
Who?
Well, so I'm a Yinzer lifelong Pitt fan, but my sister we dropped her off yesterday at Penn State. And
Boo! Sorry.
The chief difference to me growing up in the city my whole life is when I was young and the Penguins who are now perennial playoff team, when they were terrible, nobody went to the game. Pirates, nobody goes to the games now, but when, my parents were growing up, everyone went. They're very much fair weather because you have a pick of so many and one of them is good all the time. But on the topic of brand in terms of merchandise, the amount of merchandise that is shoved in your face up in State College compared to on Pitt's campus is just night and day. Pitt
True.
needs more mom and pops shoving merchandise in your face because it would force families, alumni. It would force more than the students and the hardcores to buy and put on merchandise. Because if it's not available, you're not going to buy it and wear it.
Well, the problem is all the mom and pop shops.
Real quick, talk a bit. Eric Hill, thank you for the $5 super chat. And Tony, you're a USC fan. I'm gonna let you read this for Tim. Go right on ahead, Mr. USC fans. Go ahead.
Eric says Matt Leinart and I were hanging with them girls. Tim was putting rags in the laundry. Now, Eric, Eric, let's remember he was also sniffing it before he put him in.
I was gonna say that.
It. I'm just teasing.
They love going after you, Tim. All right, y'all can fit. I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
The problem with a lot of the mom and pop shops in the county is they're all out of the city of Pittsburgh. They're all out towards the airport because that's where most of our population comes through. They always come through the airport coming back into the city. So they decided to put most of them out where a good chunk of the population of the county lives, which is, okay in a sense, but he is right about the pit gear not being so readily available. And I think it's because the university had lost hope we would ever do anything like last year. So they just didn't give a crap about, pushing their merchandise. But now, since a lot of the Pitt players have NIL deals, they have their own merchandise, clothing. The amount of apparel that is being shoved down your throat now is way more than what it used to be.
Ben Sam, thank you for the $2 super chat. He says the Platypus Trophy is still the best in college football. Go ahead, Ben, and enlighten.
No, it was no one knows what it looks like. It's so ugly.
I don't even know what it looks like. I've never heard of it.
I don't even want to look it up.
That's the cross between a duck and a beaver. And yeah, no one's seen it. It's like I think it's been.
Well, no, I know what that is, but is there an actual trophy for it?
I think it's been missing for 30 years or something like that. Like it's
yeah, missing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We should actually real quick, Joey. Why don't we have a trophy for the backyard brawl?
I don't know. Because we got the Black Diamond Trophy for the Virginia Tech rivalry.
And we're I mean that is a big rivalry between West Virginia and Virginia Tech.
You want to know why I think?
I think it should be the Iron Mask.
It has the couch, but it gets burnt every year that West Virginia wins.
I think it should be the Iron Mask.
You know why I don't think you have a trophy? I think you don't have a trophy because you don't need one. Because everybody knows who won. Everybody in West Virginia and everybody at Pitt knows who won that game. You don't need a trophy to remind you.
Yeah. I just want to shove it down Joey's face.
You could add to the bitterness of the rivalry because in the Iron Bowl, the Iron Bowl, the losing football team has to go to the opposed. Has to go if Auburn loses to Bama this year, then when Auburn comes to Tuscaloosa for conference basketball, Auburn's football representatives have to show up at halftime of the basketball game and deliver the Iron Bowl trophy on Bama's campus. I mean, you have to show up. You have to show up at the other guy's venue and swallow your pride and surrender the trophy. You know, that just adds to it, man.
Guys,
Yeah.
listen, let's start wrapping this up. We've been on for about 2 hours, and I do know that Uncle Lou's going live here in about 5 minutes, so we can all shoot over there and watch his show and stuff. But let's get the last word from everybody real quick. Jeff, you want to go ahead and start off with your last word there, buddy? Jeff Grimm? Is Jeff Grimm still with us? Okay. John, go ahead. John Marzullo.
Nothing to say. Just excited for not only the backyard brawl, but we're less than a week away now from kickoff of college football, and I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, me too, buddy. All right. Thanks a lot, John, for being here with us. Talk is fit.
Oh, well, just like he said, I mean, college football was gone. Now it's here. I can't wait for the season to start. I really, really, really hope that we win September 1st and we somehow also beat Tennessee. I will be at the Tennessee game, so I probably will do a couple videos then. But thanks for having me on, everybody.
Hey, thanks for being here, Talk Spit. We'll see you later, buddy. Tim, our USC fan who gets right in the chat all the time. Tim, you got a last word for us, man?
All the time? No, just 2 8-year-olds spend their lunch money. It's always fun to watch those guys throw their money. I'm glad they're having a good time and supporting you, Joey. And I hope one day they get help for their gold bond and their weird little obsessions they have. So no, have a good week, and I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for being here, Tim.
Yeah, man.
See you later, buddy. Up for Billy. Thank you for coming in with us, man. You got a last word for us?
Yeah, I was wanting to talk, but I didn't want to talk over everybody. But one of the things I wish Gold and Blue Dude could do for us is find stats that talk about the teams that have the least people who went to school there that are bandwagon fans on that team. And I guarantee you, Bama is number 1 in that category. So Georgia's probably number 2. But certainly, I just want to say that. But I am glad season's here. Let's go.
Thanks, Pepper Billy. Appreciate you being here, buddy.
Real quick, Pepper Billy. We actually have some of those stats. If you want, let me shoot me a note. I have a bunch of them that we've tried to estimate.
Oh, on the percentage of fan base that are alumni?
Yeah, so we actually did it as fan base as a multiple of undergraduate population, which is, give or take pretty much the same. Right. Notre Dame is usually like number 1 by far. And then like Duke is way up there too. Right. Basically the small schools with big fan bases. Bama is not up there. Like most Alabama fans are tied to Alabama, surprisingly enough.
Well, I certainly am. They got my money, so and they keep asking for more every month. Every month I get a nice little crimson envelope from Tide Pride saying, "We value your support." Yeah, you damn right you do. Well, gentlemen, this just goes to show you all the bitterness and all the trolling and all the acrimony and everything beside. We are united by a common love of the greatest game, college football. And now the countdown is underway. The rocket is on the pad. We can start fueling the engines and get ready for launch. I can't wait for Saturday to get us all going. And God bless everyone. You all stay healthy.
Good night, John. Thanks for J-Dub, thanks for being here, buddy. Kenny.
Yes, I want to say, if we do have a trophy, I'd like it to be called the Iron Mask, because that is one of the toughest rivalries that West Virginia's ever played in. Was with Pitt. It goes back 100, and this one will be 105 years of it. So, yeah, I think that's the way we should go.
Yeah, the rivalry started, 1885? 1885, yep. I think, was the first game. So, yeah. All right, Kenny, thanks for being here, buddy. We'll see you later.
All right.
Ben, thank you for being here, man.
Hey, no problem. Yeah, just follow up. That's it. The season is upon us. All the speculation and trash talk can continue, but results on the field will soon be seen. And so some fan bases are going to be elated or very sad. And that is amazing. I can't wait. So thanks, Joey, Tim, Tony, everyone. Go Ducks.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for being here. Tony.
Two things. One, I just want to say, Joey, we are so glad that you're feeling better and doing better and back with us in the swing of things. And I hope nothing more than the Mountaineers can give you a backyard brawl win to get you feeling as good as possible. So that, and and just to follow up what the other guys were saying, one of the great things, remember, we all like to tease each other. But one of the things that I think is really neat about channels like Golden Blue Dude and Mark Rogers and all that is we get to see how there are awesome, great people from every school. And I think that that's something that's really, really neat. And remember that when we cheer and yell at each other, that there's great folks from everywhere. So go Mountaineers, fight on Trojans.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for being here, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up our show. We appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for all the super chats. And yes, guys, I'm feeling 100% again. So Golden Blue will be back with you guys tomorrow live. I was just kind of filling in today, just kind of bored and hanging out. But I'm glad all of you came to hang out with me, and we will see all of you tomorrow. Have a good night.